Welcome to the DNA Talks podcast, where we take on the mission of unlocking the code of your genetics. This season is all about you, upgrading your health, not just on the surface, but down to the root cause. Join us as your clinicians at the DNA company investigate your DNA and beyond. The intention of this podcast is to enhance your lifestyle by changing what is in your control. This does not substitute the medical advice given by your personal doctor, therapist, and other healthcare professionals.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Doctors, I apologize. Ladies and doctors, beautiful thing.
Always so prim and proper. We value you for it.
You know, fucking proper. That is the first thing people think. When they think of me, that's the first thing they think right there.
Which is, the juxtaposition is so evident and so delightful.
Yeah, you need a new book. It's Mother Tracy's book of etiquette.
Learn your manners, motherfucker.
Right? Tracy-isms. I think we should totally do that. Could you guys imagine?
No, but the title would be Learn Your Manners, Motherfucker.
Right.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right? Or my favorite, I'm not fucking talking to you. Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorites. So, girls, I got a lot of stuff that I'm pissed off about right now. Has anybody read The Big Beautiful Bill?
No.
And neither has
900 pages, is it?
940 pages. Neither has Congress, the House, the Senate, they haven't read it. The Republicans have actually admitted they haven't read it. So I have a suggestion. I think that when you work for 330 million combined people, because that's the way it works, right? I think that there has to be a little vignette that they have to read. Now, for those of you that don't know what a vignette is, it's okay. Neither do the people in the House and the Senate. They can look it up. But they read the little bit, and then they have to click through to see if they get correct answers. This thing is an absolute shit show. The only thing that this is really going to do, this is going to lead to a 60% of all of the tax cuts going to the top 20% of households, and it's going to add $3 trillion to the national debt. Now, anyone that voted for this, I want you to hear me, even though you want to turn it off. It's okay. I'm with you. I think it's stupid too. However, $3 trillion to your national debt, that's taking away from your Social Security. That is taking away from your Medicare, Medicaid, two different things, right? You all know the difference, right? No, you fucking don't. Medicaid is state level. Medicare is federal level. We've all got old people, right? We've got the elderly in our life. We've got people that are a part of our family that get some of those benefits, right? And they do have to buy a Part B, a Part C, and a Part D now, so that they have prescription coverages and whatnot. If they're living on $2,000 a month on Social Security, they cannot afford any of those things. So the Medicare system was designed to reduce those monthly fees based on your income, right? Which is totally fair. It's a fair proportional response. Medicaid is for essentially the disenfranchised people, that maybe it's a single mother with 4 kids. And if we have single mothers with 4 kids, I strongly recommend you take every single father immediately to child support court, and then you have them thrown in jail when they don't pay the child support, because it took 2 of you to get those 4 kids. But we'll come back to that in a different episode. But if you look at this big, beautiful bill, it's taking money away from those areas. It's proposing at least a $930 billion Medicaid cut over the next decade. That's going to result in 7.8 million people losing Medicaid coverage. Any of you in any of the red states, look at Louisiana. Mike Johnson, who is the Speaker of the House, 60% of that idiot's entire constituency are on Medicaid.
Yeah.
And require SNAP benefits. So what's good old Uncle Mikey going to do? Is he going to start handing out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the lawn when he's at home?
He doesn't even have time to read the bill. He's not doing
Right.
that.
Somebody has to feed these people. But I think they should all go and get tents. Now, for those of you listening, I think you all should go get tents. Walmart, in fact, one of the heiresses for Walmart
Girl.
now is totally going off on all this because it really is the big core center of the disaster that's about to take over the United States.
Yeah.
This was at one time the greatest country in the world. We were admired, we were revered, we were respected, we were destination weddings from hell to breakfast. Now we're on a blacklist across the entire globe. And I think that if you look at stuff like this one, Elon Musk and I have never agreed on anything except that his hair looked like shit that one day that he said, well, my hair looks like shit. But he too says this bill is disastrous. And it is. And it's going to take away coverage. You know, I hear all the time, my Trumpanzee friends, you know, the ACA is nothing but a handout. The ACA was revenue and debt neutral. Again, look it up. Anyone that doesn't know what that means, it was debt neutral. That meant it neither added nor took away from the national debt. It provided the ability to cover more people. Why did that matter? Because the bad debt in the hospitals was really crippling the systems.
Yeah.
And it was. At one time, 96 cents out of every single dollar spent went to patient care. We're now at 15 cents for every dollar that is spent going to patient care. So you guys know I had a massive surgery 9 weeks ago tomorrow. Okay. This got billed at over $250,000.
Yep.
You know what? It was 7 hours. It was 3 surgeons. There was like, I don't know, 20 some odd people in the operating room. So yeah, it was kind of a big deal, right? I got the bill and I looked at the carve out. They were given 10 cents on the dollar by the network.
Oh yeah.
Now think about that. So when you
the people
go
responsible for you,
right? When you go into a hospital and you're going to have something done, the budget department will come to you and say, listen, this is going to be $250,000, which they did come and say to me. And your responsible portion is 20%. And I said, okay, how much is a massive heart attack? And she said, what? I said, well, if I have a heart attack, does that get billed on top of this $250,000? She goes, Matt, why would you have a heart attack? I go, because I'm going to be in surgery and I'm old. I go, old people die on the table. This woman did not know what to say to me. I said, listen, young lady, until you get your carve out instructions and are assigned the network cost, I'm not paying you $50,000. Y'all aren't going to make that much in total. But a lot of people don't know they can actually say that. Yeah. It's like going to a restaurant and the maitre d' says, listen, you two look like you're going to put away about $400 worth of booze. And they'd say that if Dr. Kostroman was there, because let me tell you something, I have taken her out drinking. And they would absolutely assess that $400 bill to her.
Yeah, for one glass.
Happen,
thank you.
Right? It doesn't happen. When you go into a restaurant, you order your food, you eat your food, you order your drinks, or in Dr. Kostroman's case, you order a lot of drinks, and then you pay the bill when it's over, right? Yeah. In healthcare, it should be the same, but the healthcare industry has gotten smarter. And Betty, I bet you absolutely know this. Am I right? Yeah. They've gotten a lot smarter. They know that if you go in for a little procedure, the procedure's $20,000, you're responsible for 20% of that. That's $4,000. They don't get $4,000 for the whole thing. No. But if they get your $4,000 and then the insurance company's $4,000, now we've got 8 G's in the bank. And they're still charging, $98 for 2 Benadryl. Yeah. So I think crazy. When you look at this, when you look at this big, beautiful bill, we've got some big problems, but it is designed to literally put a strain on the system, the hospital systems, especially rural areas. They are going to have $321 billion worth of cuts there over 10 years. What's that going to do, Betty?
That's going to leave basically, there's going to be a huge population that are not the wealthiest on the planet, that are not capable of getting Medicaid and not of age to get Medicare. So, I think the estimates right now are like 10 to 15 million people are going to fall into this gap. It may even be higher than that, but they're going to fall into this healthcare gap. So the ACA, the Accountable Care Organization, that was a safety net for those individuals. This is the person that's a small business owner. This is your neighbor. This is the person that is trying to work and do these other things. They're not going to have coverage. They're not going to have coverage because they're working poor.
Yeah.
Right. And who else is going to be impacted? Ladies, it's women.
Yep.
It's
The women
it's
and the
us.
children that we're forced to carry.
Right.
Yeah. Or caregivers or lower income because they have to do 5 jobs to cobble things together. And then the work requirements. So, their new ideas, we're going to require work requirements, which now require administrative burden to confirm the work requirements to receive payment, which we already know the IRS sucks. Like, this is like another version of IRS. Like, let us track your 80 hours a month. Like, we're going to create a whole nother division of efficiency in Medicare to capture the working hours. Like, it's just
Doge.
stupid. It's stupid. Yeah,
Well,
Doge.
and the thing is it's not them. This is Mehmet Oz. Dr. Oz has now said that if people are not meeting these work requirements, they're not entitled to benefits. That's where that came from. You can't even blame the little dipshit in the shitty looking fucking pickup truck. It's not his fault. Right?
Yeah.
It's the other one that's standing there going, but I have all of the solutions to fix what's going on at CMS. Well, how about if you stop letting there be such a delta difference between the carve out amount and the actual charge master in a hospital?
Yeah.
If a hospital has a charge master that says anesthesia for this length of time is $2,000, if CMS is never going to give them more than 20% of that, then they should only be allowed to charge $400. What we're doing is we're giving them a $1,600 tax credit so they can write it off. Why are they writing it off? Because they don't pay taxes in the first place.
Right.
It's a fucking shell game.
Oh, it's so
It's
frustrating.
unbelievable.
I sit here, and Canada's medical system is not perfect. I want to acknowledge that. But one of its saving graces is when you're sick and you need access to care, there might be some administration and scheduling hiccups. I want to acknowledge that, but that's your focus. Your focus is what's wrong with you and then getting through the system. Whereas I hear this extra layer of financial stress and this extra layer of having to negotiate. Because what Tracy's really detailing here is negotiation. You're called into the principal's office. The principal says, here's your bill. And you're set in this state of fear when you have a legitimate health concern that requires hospital intervention. And I appreciate I'm the soft and fuzzy of this trio, but to think of someone in truly but to think of someone in a sick state having to go in and negotiate, where a lot of people don't enjoy that, nor do they have that cognitive capacity in that moment to figure that out. That is just shameful. We're asking our sick to be even sicker. And these are the people that are the most vulnerable if they're relying on these systems and actually showing up to the principal's office hoping for a Hail Mary of sorts. Why you want your sick to be sicker boggles my brain.
Well, and the thing that bothers me about this is, they're all like, we're wasting money on people who don't need it, blah, 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 whatever the story is, right? So if you strip away Medicaid, right, and make Medicare very difficult to get, you leave all these people in the gap. It's not like those costs are going to go down because ACA allowed people to actually have healthcare coverage. So they would see a primary care and intervene before something became an emergency. But when people are left in that gap, they're going to wait until they go to an ER, and the ER cannot and will not turn them away. And they're going to run up a gigantic bill. And then we're going to be in this sort of shell game of financial bills in a system that's already broken. We shouldn't have colds, flus, common healthcare problems just gumming up emergency rooms that already can't handle sick and diseased and damaged. My husband's a firefighter and paramedic for the city of Dallas. All the time they will get notices, can't bring someone here. Like, you cannot bring a patient here. We have nowhere to put them. Doesn't matter if they're a burn, car accident, they got to go somewhere else. And it's because the hospital is being overburdened with people that should be in a safety net of ACA healthcare situation.
What we did, Betty, was we made it to where 84% of everything that happens in an ED or in an ER can be dispensed with over telemedicine. I suggested this to I'm not going to say his name on here because I'll probably get sued for that. I suggested this to a guy that helped build the mini clinics, the little mini clinics in the CVS and Rite Aid and Walgreens. And I said, put a mini clinic in front of every ER and ED in America. And they said, oh, no, we can't do that because we're liable the minute they show up. And I said, well, if you put a booth outside before they come through the glass door, and you have a triage ability in those booths, if you could if 100 people came into that ED that night, only 16 of them needed to be there. 16 patients between 50 beds on average in an ED, no problem. You're at a 30-year capacity. You've got plenty of staff. No one's hemorrhaging or bleeding money. You could triage them in these outside clinics. What are your symptoms? Boom, boom, boom. You can have a telemedicine PA. You can have a telemedicine RN on the screen in those booths. Still, that patient is self-contained. They're not in that hospital. That patient can be easily triaged. You can have all of the devices in there. Put your arm in here to have your blood pressure taken. Put your finger in here for your O2 saturation. All of that could be inside these things. And you could literally take out of 100 people, 84 of them, treat them, get them a prescription. If they can't get the prescription filled because they don't have insurance, they don't have coverage, you work that out with the 24-hour, whether it's a Walgreens or CVS or whatever, and you have them bill that back to the hospital for that dispensing of 10 days worth of medication. You could stop that, but that's not what we did. What we did was we said, we will not turn away anybody. And then we turned around to our fire and our police and our paramedics and said, hey, do me a favor, mate. Take them down the street because we don't have space for them. They need to get the fuck out. Yeah. And that's what we did.
This probably lends to incredible burnout, especially within like paramedics and whatnot, because that's a very short-lived career because it is a high adrenaline, right? Like you're first on scene, you see some pretty traumatic things, but when you're also forced, when you take an oath to do no harm and to help and to support people, but then you have someone that you know, if I had gotten them to the first available hospital, they would have lived, but I had to go 5 hospitals over and they die. I can't imagine living in a career that long. And Betty, please, because I think you know this probably a little more intimately based on your partner.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that, unfortunately, Dallas likes to be a winner in a lot of ways, and Dallas Fire has the highest number of suicides in the country in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
and when we look at the national stats, it's not the really horrifying trauma like you would think, because they see an extraordinary amount of trauma. Yeah. It's the leadership, it's the administrative burden, it's the bureaucracy, there's just so much. And that's like a microcosm of what you also see in the ERs, right? When they're being bombarded and they've got people that have real, critical health concerns, but then they also have an overburdened system that has no triage way to manage the people that can be sort of, taken care of with some quick assessment and medication. And it's a mess. But this whole attempt at giving more rich people more money, right, is just, it's going to harm the people that are already getting by. So if people are getting by, guess what? Your life is going to be significantly worse.
Right. Well, and I think that, again, we're still looking at the problem and we're saying, well, if we take this coverage away, then we won't have that debt. And we take that coverage away and we won't have that debt. What are you going to do with the fucking dead people? What are you going to do with the people that show up that are so sick, that have to be helped, that have to have care? Are you just going to let them bleed out? I mean, we can't do that. We are a civilized society, for God's sake. Well, we were a civilized society, but there's ways to fix it. I am a Republican. There's ways to fix this, ladies. There is. Yeah. And they're fiscally responsible ways. They're certainly not off the back of people that I would never sit down and break bread with. That's not how you do it, right? And I think something like an external triage
Yeah.
at an ED would be a great test, right? So anyone at Providence Health, Tenant, Catholic Health Charities West, just call me up. I have this whole thing. I can draw it out for you. And then feel free to go use it on my dime.
There you go.
I think that you can do that. If you look at the nurses in those emergency rooms, right? They too are having burnout. They got to put the patient in there. Then they got to put the IV in there. Then they got to get the patient, saline, and they got to hang that. Then they've got to set up everything for every 15 minutes of reading your biometrics. And this person just really has, strep throat. Strep throat is a pill. Here's your pill.
Yeah.
Away you go. But now we've brought that entire thing into an ER. Strep is contagious.
Yeah.
So
we can give it to everybody else.
Right. So now we have you in there. You've got 50 other beds, and your little germs are going to go up into the air ventilation system and just continue to propagate through. And sure, they've got filters, and they filter out a ton of stuff, but they don't filter out everything. Anyone can pick up anything in these places. So why not find a way? And especially post-pandemic, whether you believe in coronavirus or not, I don't care. I care that I don't get it. I care that it doesn't visit my house. I don't give a shit what happens at your house. But these are things that cost us tens of thousands of dollars every single day, every single ER, every single bed. Think about that.
I would also offer, and I appreciate this is more the soft cost of it all. But I think there's also a really large soft cost to the way people live life and the way there's pleasure within life. So I'll ground this in the statement of I did my undergraduate in computer science. So a fair portion of my friends from that period of my life jumped ship to California and they partook in Silicon Valley and they're doing great and glorious things. A majority, I'd say 80% are now back. And part of the reason they came back was even though they were in largely affluent circles, right? They were within that tech bubble. They came back because they were very sensitive to that. In Canada, there's a lot of discourse around many things. We talk about sports and weather and art and all these fun things. And they said, when you're down in the States, there's this passion and focus around money because there's a fear of what happens if I'm hit by a car or I get cancer or I don't have ability to earn and then everything's taken from me. And so it becomes a focal point of conversation and it strips life out of conversation. And is that across the board? Absolutely not. But it still persists as a theme that when you don't have this comfort and security that if I get sick, I have some way to access health, it changes the way you view life and engage with life. And it changes how you even have conversations with your friends. Right. And that's such an intangible soft cost that it's really important we're talking about people dying. It's really important that we're talking about ability to access and how we, through the people we voted in and their lack of reading things, are really pummeling a system. But we also need to talk about when you have health, what are you spending it on? And you don't want to be spending your health on worry of what happens if I get sick, because then you're just still trapped in the same thing in a very different way. It's very different shackles at that point.
Yeah. And, a lot of people think, oh, well, Medicaid, they cover abortion services. No, they don't. They never did.
No.
That's total bullshit. But again, these are the same people that don't read and sign their name with a crayon on a ballot. So, if you don't know, don't get out there and start pontificating on, oh, I know this to be true because I saw this bullshit. You watched it on Facebook. 80% of America still gets their news on Facebook. That right there is just disappointing, but it does explain pretty much everything. But, the soft cost, like you were saying, Dr. Kostroman, there is a ton of soft cost, right? There's the cost to, us as provider networks that are trying to really bill for actual time, right? As opposed to this, well, I'm going to bill 10x of the time, and then I'm going to get carved out, and then I'm going to hope to get 40 points of it back. I may only get 20, but if I 10x it, I'm still making money. These medical facilities, they pay no taxes. They don't pay property taxes. Those of you around the University Medical Center in Pittsburgh, nobody pays any property tax for where that building sits. that campus. Think about that. Now, if you owned a business, you're Walmart, and you have a building and you own that building, you're paying taxes for that building. You're paying for everything that sits there. You're matching payroll taxes, you're remitting sales tax, and these hospitals don't have to do that. And the ACA is what made that a reality. So the soft cost associated with the idea of this big, beautiful bill. I mean, he's such an idiot. Who comes up with this shit? If you look at how they put all of this together, they buried a whole bunch of stuff in there. They buried in there that
Pork
open
barrel.
and free elections could be stopped by the president.
Mm-hmm.
What has that got to do with healthcare?
That is not in there. Is
What
that?
does that have to do
It's
with
called
debt?
pork barreling. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of things in there like that.
Yes.
Y'all are
executive
pushing a
orders.
bill through that takes away democracy. I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
We already got rid of due process. Due process is now in question.
That got thrown out last week.
It's like, so yeah, we're already working on full fascism.
Here's the thing that I want people to think about. Everybody needs to use a hospital.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to see a doctor. People have children. Amen. People grow their families. They have grandbabies. Those grandbabies might have a need or two on their way in. What if they're sick?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do then? Well, if your child has your grandchild and your child does not have private health insurance and Medicaid and Medicare have been gutted like a fish on the White House lawn, you better sell that house, granddaddy, because somebody has to pay for that kid's surgery. And you don't get to bankrupt medical debt because they changed that too.
Yeah. And
people don't know what they don't know, and it's dangerous. You have to ask the questions. And don't ask the questions on Facebook. You're not going to get one intelligent person answering you.
They're all parroting what they heard on Fox News.
Right. You got to go out, do the research outside of these entities.
Yeah.
And I think all of these news channels suck. They all do.
No, they're all bad. I don't want, I go straight to the source and read instead. But, Dr. Kostroman, I'm sure you may not know this, but the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States is medical debt. Right. And that becomes your, hold on, I'm going to air quote, safety net, that if you get so overextended because of an illness that you couldn't control, you can declare bankruptcy and hopefully keep your house and your car and they'll take everything else. But now in the big, beautiful bill, you can't really do that because we're going to hold you accountable.
And
right?
that's true for student debt
won't
as well, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's trying to bring it into the land of student debt. So the things that we require, education and medical care. You're lumping.
We want to cap the amount you can borrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can keep
our people cap stupid. The amount you can borrow.
So they're quite literally putting a cost on life.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is put in a class distinction systematically, right? I think this is literally about keep this group here and all the rest of y'all down here in steerage. That's what this is about. They're squeezing out the middle class that it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, Ronald Reagan, I was a Reagan fan. All of you that hated him, it's okay. I thought he was groovy. He would roll over in his grave right now. So would Bush Sr., so would Barbara Bush. These people were hardcore Republicans that believed in being conservative fiscally and believed in a strong national defense, which I believe in, and believed in really strong boundaries for immigration. I believe in all of those things, but not at the cost of throwing an American citizen in the back of a squad car, holding them for 2 days, kicking her ass on the way in, a bunch of men. That was classy. And then she gets let out. Now she gets to sue. By the way, she'll win. And it'll be millions and millions of dollars. And it's another bill that I get to pay, that Betty gets to pay, because we live here in the United States. And every time one of these agencies fucks up, we're the ones with our tax money that have to come in and save the day. It's absurd.
Yeah. So basically Proud Boy ICE agents. that are out there so they can knock heads. Yeah, so they can knock heads and basically be, neo-Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
It's outrageous. But I think the thing that bothers me the most is the people that are going to be often most hit by this are the people that don't have the information. Like they're blindly believing that something beautiful for them is coming out of this. And I was like, oh no, pardon me, this shit rolled downhill. And there's not any of the upper echelon that are going to pay for any of this, right?
Right.
This is if you're a small town worker doing assembly line work or something like that, it's you who's going to pay for it. If you are hoping your kids will be able to go to college because you don't want them to have the life that you had, chances are they're not going to be able to get a loan big enough to be able to go to school because they'll be ratcheted out of that because they didn't fit the caste system that the United States has now put in.
And you know what? There's countries all over the world that have compulsory services, right? Which again, I actually think that's a great idea. I think that when our kids graduate high school, they should have to do 2 years in any branch of the forces that we have. And for that trade-off, they get to go to college for 4. And I think that that's fair. And I think that you can balance the equities in that. Because then you don't have to pay these signing bonuses for people to enlist. It's compulsory, men and women, right out the door. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we just looked at how we provisioned the American way of life, we could find all sorts of stuff that we could save money on. We could find all sorts of administrative layers we could take away. Imagine what would happen, Dr. Oz, if CMS paid dollar for dollar what was in the charge master. Mm-hmm. You go into the charge master, bed for 1 day, $330. Now, by the way, it's 10 times that.
Yeah.
But tell me one hotel any one of us has ever stayed in, and I've stayed some nice fucking places. Tell me one hotel that we were willing to pay $30,000 a day for a bed. The answer is we weren't.
Yeah.
Right? Why not have it be dollar for dollar? You want to fix the problem with CMS. You want to fix the problem with waste and fraud, which I totally am with you on. How about we pay the same for a biologic cancer drug in America that they pay in Europe for that same drug that's made here in America?
100%.
How about we do that? Right? How about we do that? Those are just suggestions. Ladies, you know what? We've beat up the American congressional system for a little while now. So closing thoughts. Dr. Murray, what do you got?
I think the tragic thing is, this probably won't pass the Senate. It'll get pulled apart again. They'll make some more mess. They'll also, Dr. Kosterman, stack a bunch of crap in there behind the scenes that nobody's going to see that have nothing to do with any of it. Right.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to end up with a much bigger mess than what we even currently have, because there's too much lobbyists and too much other things that are playing into the game. Pharma has 6 lobbyists for every single representative and senator?
6 for every member of the House and Senate. Do that math.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. You got
imagine every time you sit
members of the House. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on.
Yeah, every time you sit down, you have 6 people circling you, just talking about their interests, right? Like there's so much graft and corruption in our system that I don't see it improving because we really need to step up as an American population and go, we're not going to tolerate it, and put in term limits and get rid of PACs and all these other things, these super PACs, because I don't think we'll fix it until we do.
It won't be fixed in our lifetime, Betty. But you know what? This younger generation, like my kids, their contemporaries, I think that they're going to get to the point where they're so sick and tired of hearing all of us whine and bitch about it that they might actually take that as their charge in order to clean all of this out. I think every member of the House and Senate, regardless of party, should all be thrown out right now. Every single one. They all violated their contracts with the American people. Every single one of them should be thrown out. If you are going to be a civil servant, you should damn well serve for $75,000 a year. And if you need health care benefits, use the VA like every other soldier in America. How about that?
Them apples be
don't
shiny.
get me started. See, I tell you guys I got to go, and I say, don't get me started. Dr. Kostroman, any closing thoughts from you?
I agree. The U.S. is prime for revolution, and neededly so, right? Because when I hear all of this, short of cleaning the slate, I'm not really sure how you would go about dissembling and reassembling. I sincerely hope and pray it's a peaceful revolution, because I just, yeah.
Well,
You
it
never
already
know.
isn't, right? You're watching it in the streets. Today there was 2 ICE vehicles kidnapping somebody else without a warrant. And
Yep.
people in the street of San Francisco, they're kicking the windows and they're jumping in front of the cars. And these guys are just, they keep on driving.
You know
People
what?
are
You know what?
going down in front of these cars and they keep on driving.
Yeah.
Touche, because senators are dying, people are touche.
Right?
It's begun and it's already violent. Touche.
Yep. Yeah, we're
Right.
already
Those
there.
people were murdered in their house.
Yeah.
That assassination, and that's exactly what it was. That assassination was in their house where their children slept. Why is there not armed security in front of every single property for these people?
Yeah.
Even if you're a shitbag and you're serving, I think you should be protected, even though I think you're a
agree.
shitbag. Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all have to remember that World War I was started with an assassination on a corner of a street.
That's right.
Hello, people. Like, everybody's like, that will never happen. I'm like, dude, all it takes, it's like we're sitting on a powder keg. All it takes is one little flip, and it's shit's gonna hit the fan.
Yeah. I was recently in LA, in and around when some of all levels of police forcing was compelled to go to LA to manage the protests there, and I remember thinking, is this going to be the match that strikes the tinderbox? Because it's going to come. It's going to come. Yeah.
But people need to keep their eye on the ball. Healthcare, everybody should have access. Should you pay for it? 1,000%, y'all should be paying for it. Whatever it is you can pay, that should be validated. But you shouldn't have to die at home as a college student because you had to choose between paying for your dorm and paying for your insulin. And that's already happened in New York. That's happened so many times in America. It's never even made the news. We've gotten to the point where we don't give a shit anymore and we don't share it.
It's like your school shootings. It has to be an exceptional one to make the news. And the threshold of exceptional now is insane. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the threshold of exceptional now.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Right.
That's how that stops, fuckers.
Ladies, you know we're going to get a bunch of hate mail over this, right? So for those of you that choose to send it, 1, we actually laugh and make fun of you. 2, we delete your shit. We delete your shit. Oh, and Betty, we got the penises. Okay, so Betty has...
Are they there? Are they there? Are they there? Are they there?
A little stuffy penis that she drives around Texas. So Dr. Kostroman bought one for her and for me. And we're going to start dropping videos of each of us with our little penises. I have not opened them yet, Doctor. I'm afraid to open them. But
you need to. So Betty, when she opens this box, our penises are different. And she will categorically, the moment she opens the box, know which penis is hers.
I almost said something really tacky. I almost said something really horrible.
We're talking about stuffed penises. What on earth can be horrible?
Right? It's like, is it a shower or a grower?
We want both is the answer. Both is the answer.
Both is the answer. Ladies, we're going to hell. It's important to know I'll be driving
the bus. That's okay. I'm going to take mine in the HOV lane. I got a dick in the back seat. They're making decisions for me. I'm not alone. That's why he's in my car. He's part of my HOV partner.
Please, when that
I want to get pulled over.
Please record the conversation that ensues when that happens. That would be delightful.
I know. See, I gotta get out of trouble thing because I've got a
you got one of those cards?
Oh, you cheater.
I got the union badge, yeah. So they're man.
I love it.
I may or may not have one of those.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're a firefighter's wife? Right? But I do want to have the conversation that I'm in the HOV lane because I do have a penis making decisions for me. So therefore, there are two people in my car.
I think that that's a great idea. So we're going to be making videos, so be watching for that. All right, girls, thank you very much. Doctors, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.
Lovely to see both of you. I'll see you next month.
We'll see you. Au revoir.